I mean, they just look really weird, I think, throughout stage 2 here. And you look at the roster,
even last week.
and it shouldn't be this way, right? We know that this roster, like these players individually, have had success elsewhere. You know, you're bringing in Who Are You and Exodial. We feel like that's like an upgrade here going into stage 2, but it's just been it's been up and down, but also like it's been just really odd at times at the gameplay. So I'm interested what we get from them today.
I asked the question, right?
I feel like especially last week.
Right, I mean,
you guys casted that, right? Like at the Peps one, right? There were so many weird choices, compositional choices, gameplay choices that Gen.G made well. Yeah, they won the match, but it was just strange.
I mean, I don't know if you guys, like, after week 3, can I now ask you the question again? What is Mag's identity as a tank player? Like, can you answer that yet?
Leave Mag alone.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, why are we just beating up on Mag? Come on now. There's other players out there.
All I said was, what is I asked you a question. What is Mag's identity?
Yeah.
Answer the question.
I don't... A ball?
In a perfect world, I think Mag would want to play Winston-based compositions. I think after that, it's like Orisa. You know, like doesn't strike me as a player who would gravitate towards like a, you know, Diva, Sigma along those lines. But like,
he's playing
Orisa, Ramatra, Winston, I think you could do. Yeah, Imi, because you have. But
here's the thing.
Diva's so good.
I don't feel like Mac has been their win condition. Exodial certainly has been. He's been lighting up the server last week, so let's hope for a repeat performance at least from the DPS department. They are going up against Twisted Minds. Absolutely stacked roster, one of our top teams as well. And yeah, last week in their match against, who was it, the Ultimates? The Quartz was feasting on Freya. It was like hide your kids kind of situation. Like you could not, that no one should see this. It was murder on the server.
I was like, wait, are you worried about Quartz? Like, you know, his Sojourn popping out of the screen and coming after you?
It's just like, again, it makes it no longer PG-15 game. Like, I just don't want my kids to see what. Yeah. Like, you know,
also, they had Psycho in last week over Juby for the entire series. That's definitely something to discuss.
Hey, farm.
Psycho's sick on Tracer.
The Ultimates, like, look at this. They got the comp they wanted to play on Suravasa, for example. And Twisted Minds, like, so the only maps they've lost are against Alcazia. And I think there might be some of the only maps that they lose. This Gen.G team, like, you need to, I hate to say this, you need to know yourself very well, I think, if you want to put some pressure on this Twisted Minds team. And I don't know where, I mean, Avril literally said, Who Are You is now stuck in the crusty zone. Like, that term would not exist if it didn't mean something, right? Because it started off with Gen.G making some very interesting ban decisions, I think, at the start of the year. And I think the Krusty is looking for a shape that fits this team really well, because you've got some great players on your roster, but he doesn't have like a real mold to fit them into. Whereas Twisted Minds have amazing players, also disgustingly good players on their bench, and a very defined way of the way they want to play. If you are not sure of yourself at this point in the competition, you are not going to be attending the mid-season tournament.
This got really deep. Like suddenly the people are on a self.
They need to do some shadow work.
Who are you?
They need to do some shadow work. I wanted them to journal every day, honestly.
Honestly, journaling is a fantastic way to, you know, figure things out.
True.
And all that stuff. It might also help us figure out who's going to come out on top of this very match. So let's get the show going. Twisted Minds going up against Gen.G. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the Gen.G, I came back after sort of week off and I was like, oh, you got Gen.G peps. How was that? And Matt just sort of took a deep breath because it was obviously a very, very, very scrappy game with some inexplicable moments that occurred.
An emotional game. It was an emotional game.
It was good TV. We'll say that much. Here, though, Twisted Minds kind of know, like, they're road ahead, Matt. They've got VP still before they're done, but in reality, they should be in a very good spot heading into playoffs. This team is like only slightly worse than Alcazia, and that was before either of these teams have had time to improve over the course of this season. So they're a top contender, whichever way you slice it. We've got Brig and Tracer band away here.
Yeah, I feel really good about the Twisted Minds team. Like I talked about earlier, you know, when they were playing some of the sim, now they bring Psycho in to play the Tracer. They have like multiple different looks that I think are really high level. So excited about their possibility in EMEA. And then you look at Gen.G, right? Like, I mean, finishing like 5-6, and then what? You know, you make some of the changes because you get double first rounded in the playoffs last go around, right? Even with a pretty good seed. To have that happen again, I mean, that would be a massive letdown, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and this team obviously were, had Top Dragon with the roster, right? But like, you think that Exodial, who are you both, come into this roster and definitely give you a lot to work with. But they did wholesale change out that entire sort of front line. Your Preds at home, I expect are going to be definitely in the Twisted Minds' favor. Is a 9-10 split from you. Yeah. I think this embodies my expectation for this game pretty accurately.
Oh, yeah, but it's typically, though, like, even when we think it's a blowout, like, we got, like, we got, like, 20% on the dog here, but, we're 10%. I mean, that is the people are just losing faith here on Gen.G.
I mean, it's always the same, right? Until we start to really see those results, I think that, like, we got a very typical mid-table scrap fest between Gen.G and Peps, right? That obviously opened things up a little bit more there, but Gen.G have the ultimate snapping at their heels. I mean, Gen.G are -2. The ultimates are actually 0. They're even in map differential, so there's no guarantee that they maintain that 5th spot. But I expect Twisted Minds to move to 3-1 here with the +8 map differential and actually leapfrog Virtus Pro for the time being. So this is, in my opinion, the second place team in the OWCS going up against 6th. It feels like a fairly wide disparity between these two. So what I want to look for in this game, and it's kind of the same homework I always set for Gen.G, is like, show us a cohesive style that seems to put all of your players in positions to succeed, and we want good execution. So I don't care what it is. They could come out here and play Junker Queen for all I care. I just want to see them in positions to succeed.
I do like the ban. I do like the ban from Gen.G. We can talk a little bit about some of the bans, right? The Brigagon here for Twisted Minds. They like to play this Juno Kiri, and also Funny Astro can play that Lucio. And then Gen.G getting rid of Tracer, that's really nice because they have Psycho in the game, and Psycho wants to play Tracer, right? So get a, particularly comfort hero for him out of the way. Okay, Twisted Minds looks like, Malga not really kind of available here. He is available, but no, not the tank of choice at the moment. They'll actually match Sombras here.
No Lucio there for Twisted Minds. Funny Astro, simple. It's going to be the Kiriko and Juno composition. I don't hate that. I mean, I guess you can cleanse off a hack, but the window of the hack duration is pretty short anyway. Could just be nice in a pinch. Mag on the Diva. Something you guys said that, he has to play right now because she is so strong. KSA, though, gets to play the Brawl style Ramatra, which is going to make it hard for Mag to get in here. I'm going to keep my eye on the scoreboard and see just what Mag can get done around this.
If Gen.G wants to play aggressive, the tank to do that on at the moment in a dive sense is Diva. You can't exactly make it work on Winston at the moment because the other teams just play Diva into it, and it's so difficult to stop as Exodial gets extremely weak. Twisted Minds has not been able to find anything just yet. And actually, it's going to be Gen.G who comes in with a few kills, but Twisted Minds was getting so many players weak all over the place, just was not able to finish any of them off, and that allows Gen.G to get healed up, come back in, and flip the point.
You see, the KSA is very good at taking space over the Mega Room, but when it comes to playing the point, there's that high ground balcony that Ramatra can't really interact with, and that allows someone like Exodial just to stay alive, not be chased down, because KSA value the point cap over trying to go after the Freya there. It's not a great start for Twisted Minds, but again, the kind of fight that they can sort of get back into. Obviously, Psycho's hero pool's being targeted in this game, so... Oh, what was that?
That is...
What?
That is filthy.
Bro, he led him like a show dog. I cannot believe that. Bro basically had her ring through his nose. Unreal.
Dude, what do you even do? If you're Exodial, you're like, yeah, you know what? I just chalk that one up.
Yeah, you just hit the showers.
They got to keep Mag up here. He gets hit with a virus there. I don't know if you saw that. He gets hit with a virus, and that is enough to chunk out that mech. Now you lose him, and now you're going to be just kind of staggered here for an extended period. You're going to lose some percentage.
When we interviewed Exodial back in week 2, we asked him, how are you able to make these long-range shots, and really punish people? He's like, I just kind of go for it. Boy, howdy, has he made his match now. In the form of quartz. We've got a pretty volatile fight coming at you, folks, with both tank ultimates, 2 EMPs, and both DPS ultimates ready to go. We are going to see most of them used because this fight is absolutely going to represent an inflection point in this round. Who are you heads upstairs early, but it's going to be revealed by the constant spy checking. Does have a hacked health pack there to play off of those, so he's advantaged in that phase of the map, but Twisted Minds want to play the point. Here's Psycho in there with the EMP, and Mag will be desuited straight away. Devastating result for Gen.G.
Well, we'll have to take a look at it, but Who Are You, I think, goes for the EMP at the same time. I don't know if anybody actually ended up getting hacked on the Twisted Mind side, or like, I know mid-animation, potentially, it was like, shut down or something. They have to take a look. See about that from a different perspective, but that's both EMPs, and Twisted Minds obviously get the better of that.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was worrying about a little bit in this game. Exodial's doing a great job, by the way. He's topping the server in damage. Mac has about the same amount of damage as Canale, so it's been a little bit hard for him to be put into... Dude, he's playing against Sombra and Ramatra. There's no, like, super safe place for the Diva to be. Zox with the sound barrier. Catches on to everyone but Who Are You, but an orbital ray will be the answer from Twisted Minds. And the drop down to the point contested. Zox could not get away. And Who Are You clearly was intercepted on whatever mission they were on. Canale has a long-range torpedo dunked on him. And this should be the round here for Twisted Minds. They close it out in style.
You end up using that beat at the end, but you're just running into the buzzsaw. That's an orbital ray, right? And especially because you are running into the Ramatra, where now he's just in an Nemesis form, he's punching you, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I think just compositionally things work out really well for Twisted Minds there, and this is potentially another look that they can do, right? Psycho playing it. So this is what I actually think happened. Did they go for it at the same time? Oh, he actually just so he just gets one.
Yeah, he just hit Psycho.
He just EMP Psycho. Okay, I was like, because his EMP goes off. I was like, oh, maybe it got canceled out, but he is in a. That's really weird in the sense that Psycho lands what? That's like a 4-player EMP, and then your EMP gets 1 on the other side, and you hold it for the whole round. Not the type of value you're looking for there.
Yeah, sometimes you just overestimate the radius of that ability and end up with egg on your face. Still, I think Mag was going to get desuited and take it down either way, so Twisted Minds definitely had the right approach. There's Exodial now on the Sojourn, rather. Court's instantly plugged by a railgun shot to the dome. Another great start for Gen.G. They've done well in the previous round by getting out to an early lead, and Exodial's been the standout player in the server. But needs more than that, apparently, to get Gen.G into pole position.
Suzu there from Simple actually keeps Psycho alive for just a little bit longer. They'll end up losing him, and I wonder if they end up kind of moving away from this Sim Lucio setup, playing into the Sojourn, right? Sojourn just adds a little bit of extra mobility where, I know, a TP comes in or something along those lines, you can get out. But Twisted Minds, Mitch, they're able to take the point. Even with a few kills here going to Gen.G early on, it's not enough for them to kind of stand up onto the point and be able to take it.
That is devastating considering the kind of advantage they began with. Mag, with his head down, switches over towards the Diva now, says, no, I think we just need this flexibility. We've got too much map to cover, and I haven't been able to be as present as I would like to be. But they've got to play this against the same look from TM, plus Psycho now on the Symmetra, someone who just doesn't care about defense matrix whatsoever, but that is great work from Who Are You with an off-angle virus connection on Quartz.
We'll see if they can actually do something with it, though, right? I mean, you have Psycho down there on the point with KSA making plays there. And okay, now I think you may actually have an opportunity. I was going to get a little bit worried because you see where, like, Funny Ash and they were playing there. You could have actually just continued to farm up and use this Kitsune rush and just kind of like barrel out of there with the Ramatra in the Sim, but they get rid of the Kiri, which is like the biggest thing at the moment.
How do you feel about the Sim into the Sombra here, man?
You know what? I mean, Sim is like a glass cannon, but like, think about when Sombra gets played sometimes and like Reaper comes into the mix. It's because like Reaper's abilities aren't essential. Like, you know, the TP is pretty essential, but you're not using TP like mid-fight, right? Yeah. So for Sim, you can still get the bulk of the damage output and usage even when you're hacked. So it's not a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I guess he's more primary fire oriented than a lot of other heroes at DPS, so he's less disrupted by being hacked. Still vulnerable in the front line against these Diva comps, but there's no Brig on the Gen.G side to like punish a Sim that's too far forward, right? Can't just like shield bash her and take her out. And this is a great answer to Exodial. Sim Walker, oh my goodness, that is stunning. Big overclock hit. It wasn't a headshot, but still very impressive. Little pick off there on Simple, but Twisted Minds have map control, and Astro goes for a sound barrier. They're not going to pivot here into a 4-player fight win, but Kitsune Rush is going to be deployed here on the Gen.G side, and they got a beat to work with. Mag back in the mech, and Twisted Minds can only manage to stall a bit with that Lucio ultimate committed.
Ideally, I think for Twisted Minds, you would have ended up getting the sound barrier out from Gen.G as well, but it is just the Kitsune Rush. So Gen.G able to get back in, flip the point for the time being. I thought maybe if KSA had a little bit more help, you would have ended up seeing him invest the annihilation there, but they end up holding on to it here as who are you setting up maybe a hack and then trying to burn down. Oh, everybody gone.
And Who Are You can't follow them through that TP. So out of the fight for now. Will it hurt Gen.G not to have Who Are You here? No, Zox is able to buy enough time with a sound barrier. Looks like they're safe enough. Quartz also went for a bowler shot, but it's unclear where that really originated or ended up. And either way, Gen.G had to give a bit of ground. Now grouping up. They don't have power ultimates outside of Exodial's railgun. Obviously, Overclock coming online, but how do you get a multi with... Huh? Okay, the virus just... finds two. Psycho and Quartz picked up. It's transmissible now, apparently.
Yeah, I did get Sombra had some perks reworked, and I believe one of them is the ability for the virus to spread. So yeah, I think which one did they rework? There was one, I think, in terms of like it may have been hack duration. One of them got removed and adjusted with the last season. So Sombra a little bit different here than what we've seen in the past. You see virus when you get hacked, you just get chunked down.
Yeah, it's viral replication. If you hit a hacked enemy with a virus, it spreads it to enemies within 8 meters. Pretty effective here because that's very much Who Are You style. Hack virus and then fall away. So it simply supplements that. Great way to spin a bit of damage, but Twisted Minds are back in control here. There's been a flip. Gen.G want to drop now behind his Kitsune Rush, and Exodial has a rail, doesn't quite connect it. Twisted Minds give up the point. They're at least having to play from the high ground, and KSA somehow has to stay alive. So far, not so bad. Who Are You and Psycho both traded out as Quartz has gone over to the Sombra, and Exodial now needs to command this high ground, but the shots are coming in from across the bow, and Mag is desuited. That is the last thing you want to see if you're a Gen.G fan. Now, as you don't have any real tank presence, Quartz is being accosted by Exodial, though, just opts to try and get away and buys enough time for the sound barrier to come on in. Zox won't have him have his rather when he needs it, but Exodial's not being dealt with yet. It's overtime. Touch comes in from Gen.G, but really Exodial eventually is going to have to commit to the point, and he is cut down before he can get there. Twisted Minds, great positional play. They'll claim Busan in a scrappy last fight.
And it was they were never able to get rid of KSA there, right? You were talking about like KSA getting extremely low. Quartz goes over to Sojourn, puts down some pressure up on the high ground. And because they never get rid of KSA, they come back with a sound barrier and everybody's alive, and they lose Mag out of mech. So pretty solid start, I would say, for Twisted Minds. Gains extremely close, so not the worst thing to see if you're a Gen.G fan, but TM looks like they're in kind of complete control.
Yeah, I mean, again, out of game, we saw Gen.G trying to target Psycho by taking the Tracer out. In game, they were targeting Quartz very often. Who Are You on the Sombra looked pretty good. It was that EMP that doesn't really catch on, though, towards the end of that first round that is a bit of a head scratcher. And Gen.G just really lose out hard in terms of playing to their win condition in that fight. Exodial's been stunning. Top damage in the server, about 11 to 8k difference between him and Quartz. So this is about as good as it gets for Gen.G in terms of having their star player do what they need to do. And even that wasn't enough.
He's been pretty good, I would say, Exodial, throughout the stage thus far. Really, since he got into the OWCS with Peps and Gen.G now, looked very good. But you see the stats here. I mean, the KD heavily favoring Gen.G. Those are maps that they need to win, right? That they just consistently seem to kind of fumble away.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're going to have their map pick here. An opportunity to sort of scope the battlefield a little bit more. And I think that some of these hero bans might start to inform us on the way that they actually want to play. Last time it was targeted, that's fine. Try and look at Psycho, who, as far as we understand, is going to be staying in the server here. They're going to continue to play through that. It looks like we have a Suravasa map pick here.
Which is interesting because we see a lot of teams in the region go into New Junk City in terms of Flashpoint. But this is one team, right? I would say probably the Ultimates as well, who want to play a little bit more dive, a little bit faster, who would go to Suravasa because that fits the map a bit better. What we'll see in terms of bans here potentially, if you're Gen.G, do you have to get rid of a tank to protect like D.Va, for instance? Because Twisted Minds doesn't care, right? They can play Orisa, they can play Maga, they can play Ramatra. You can't exactly play Winston into those. So like if you get rid of the D.Va, if they allow Twisted Minds the opportunity to get rid of the D.Va, they definitely could.
They banned, so when they picked Suravasa map 2 against the Ultimates week 1, they banned Kiriko. So I don't know, and that's against the Twilight team, so it's not like that's particularly.
But if you
targeted.
ban, let's say they went down that road again, right? You could ban Gen.G bans Kiri. If you're Twisted Minds, just ban D.Va, and now you're Juno Brig with Ramatra Orisa, and that's exactly kind of like how Twisted Minds wants to play, right? I mean,
I don't think you can stop them from playing the way they want to right now, especially the Tracer is unlocked on this map. Like you can sort of go back to that. Maybe they just keep folding the Sombra in. Maybe if you're Mag and you want to play this D.Va, you are trying to take Sombra out of the mix. You just don't want who are you maybe to be on Tracer Genji, something more like that.
You could ban Genji if you're Twisted Minds.
Yeah,
if they have to go, if they go like a support route or a tank route, right? You just ban Genji.
That's what the Ultimates did to them. Yeah, on this kind
Genji's
of map.
really good on this map too.
Oh yeah, so we actually have our bans come through now, and they're really not what I expected them to be. So Gen.G has opted to ban Freya here, so probably trying to just keep Exodial in a position where going over towards the Sojourn feels good, and Hazard gets taken away here by Twisted Minds. Okay,
so I mean Hazard can be pretty good in a lot of different comps, right? You can play him into like some Rush, you can play him into D.Va. The Freya ban is quite interesting. We also saw Exodial play the Sojourn in the second round, and he was really popping off. Quartz switches to it at the end, but maybe they feel like there's something there. I would say, Quartz is a very good Sojourn player. I don't know if this is going to be super impactful, right? Maybe it's like Exodial didn't feel great in the Freya matchup against Quartz, and now you're trying to take it back to like Sojourn, but
unless, are you trying to set up a reason to play Cassidy here? Because Exodial is an amazing Freya player. Okay, sure, they lost out a little bit in that matchup to Quartz, but that happens on even the best days for some of our EMEA DPS.
If you're trying to ban yourself or into a situation to play Cassidy, that feels a bit bad. I mean, we've seen some more Cassidy here.
It's very.
I think this is
just
this is just to play Sojourn, I would imagine.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. I have to probably talk to more Sojourn players about how they feel about that matchup, because obviously, it definitely feels like Gen.G feel like leveling the playing field is best. Psycho though, a ton of options here. Sim's obviously great. You can work well in this Ramatra shell. Obviously, he's very effective against the D.Va. The Torb would be odd when you've already banned the Hazard out.
Right, because Torb is really good against Hazard. I mean, you can play Torb against like Tracer, right? Can be a little bit of a nuisance.
They really want to target Psycho. Hey, that's wow. That's a big investment to sort of shut this Tracer down. Okay. Who are you going to be watching those flanks pretty diligently? Psycho now has just another layer of complexity involved in achieving his conditions within these fights, and it's Exodial just took a rail instantly from Course. Looks like Daddy's home.
There's a part of me where I think that Gen.G may be overthinking this a bit, in the sense that we just saw like formerly Quick Esports, right? As who are you just gets blown there by
the turret, bro? Like what?
Where we've seen teams play Gen.G, and the Genji's extremely strong at the moment. And you have Who Are You, and you're rolling him out on Torb in a game that Genji's available. So like, I think it might be just a little bit overthinking it here, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense with the roster you have.
I mean, and this is a very subjective perspective, but if I'm Who Are You and my coach is telling me to play Torb into Psycho Tracer, I'm asking, why am I not being empowered to just go and have a bigger impact than him on my Tracer? like outdo
who are
him
used
in the mirror.
Who are Yu's best asset as a player, I think, is like playing some of these really high mechanical skill heroes and like taking over games, right? I don't know if I'd put Torbjorn in that category.
Yeah, and if I was him, I'd be like, I know my name is Who Are You, but do you know who I am? Why am I, I guess, going for this approach? Gen.G here have not really been able to touch the point. It's mostly owing to Mag getting blasted every time he steps up. They're on the Lucio Kiriko like healer comp, which isn't obviously great with like necessarily high throughput. So the poke damage they end up taking, that Mag ends up taking, means he's just not in the game.
And you've gotten very little from the Torbjorn at the moment. I mean, 0-3, 1200 damage. Compare it to like the 3K and the 1300 damage on the other side. A little bit,
Dude, Mag has
damage for the
700 damage. He has less damage. He has the same damage as Zox. For the love of God.
It's
It's so hard.
Look, it's not a great Winston meta, which is like what you would want him to ideally play. But then I wouldn't say like Rush is probably this team's strength, because it seems like potentially, I mean, that's a 3K there from Psycho in the backline. That like they're not all on the same page, right? And if you're not all on the same page and you're playing against good Rush teams consistently within EMEA, you're just gonna get rolled doing that. I'm still we're sticking on the Torb here, so
yeah, I mean, Psycho's still able to find a 3K while like Torb is on the map. Okay, the target gets picked off early, it's fine, but you're probably not feeling like you're doing much to shut them down. Who are you wants to play in the front line? Molten Core on the point. This puts him now, though, in a pretty aggressive position. He's got no turret left to work with, but no one's looking at him so far. And this orbital raid, though, pretty important. Pulse Bomb got dropped on Who Are You's back doorstep, but he ignores it now. Pressure's going to come in from Psycho. He whips around. Gen.G, Sound Barrier committed it, plus that Molten Core gets them the result they were looking for. They've got some flashpoint time now.
A Molten Core, Kitsune Rush, and Sound Barrier there. And it's just like an Orbital Ray on the other side. You can kind of sense that Gen.G, if they were to like lose that fight, the game was going to start to slip away from them overall, right? So it was like a must-win fight scenario, but let's invest pretty heavily into this one and then kind of see what happens after that. So must-win fight, they actually get it. We'll see if they can kind of turn it into a point win.
50% and counting now. Exodial taking some kunai from across the map. Apparently it's left him pretty low and dangerous now as, Quartz just cleans him up. Consecutive railguns get thrown in now during overclock, and just behind that round pillar, you should be able to dodge away from that self-destruct. Mag didn't quite have it far enough into the open. Now Gen.G are going to be unceremoniously booted off this flashpoint. 74% is respectable. Make no mistake, but look at how much space has been taken from them now.
No, they're just pushing up here for Twisted Minds, right? They want to try and catch them before they can get over towards the point. Who Are You gets one. Exodial here with the overclock gets another. So this should be an opportunity where Gen.G can get yet another flip. I imagine that we get one more fight here for Twisted Minds with this Kitsune Rush and Annihilation. We'll see if they're able to get there, but I imagine they try and contest this one more time.
It's been Exodial to the rescue, as per usual. Psycho with a pulse here. Not the way that Who Are You would like to go. Okay, he just ignores it. He needs to touch.
He has to touch, yeah.
He gets that touch, but now he doesn't have a recall, which is awkward when you're fighting against that turret. You just have to try and get in.
They're not going to get a touch.
Yeah, with the Kitsune Rush as well.
So this is actually pretty good now for Gen.G.
Big miscommunication, I think, there. Or just a KSA not far enough forward. I don't know if he got body blocked by Mag or maybe shunted out of the way. Either way, he sliced it. That's a mistake. Twisted Minds here. Finally, the game has gotten evened up on them, and Gen.G is starting to potentially at least build some confidence.
You get Mag demech there towards the end, so he has to jump off the side, but he'll get a closer spawn here as the rotation comes on in, where that's a huge opportunity there for Twisted Minds. Thrown down, flushed down the toilet there, as they didn't really do much of anything with it, as we'll see Gen.G try and attack yet again because of the kill on the Mag late. They're a little bit slow here, but you do have some more players rotating in for Twisted Minds, right? So it's going to be a little bit of a later fight than we're used to.
All right, Kanale picked off early, went for the Kitsune Rush here and then down. Gen.G at least able to start with some point control, but without their Kiriko, they're really going to have to abuse this haste buff of the Rush as much as they can. I'm scared of Exodial right now. Doesn't matter what kind of day Gen.G are having, he always seems to be an exception. Unfortunately, he's not the rule for them. That would have been a different story. Gen.G give up the point after losing Canal early.
And Exodial's been fine on the Sojourn, but I think like it allows Quartz to play the Sojourn as well, and he's extremely good. Where I think that Freya, like how you talked about, I don't know if it was one that I would have been as scared about making it in potentially. I think obviously he's a very good Freya in his own right, Exodial, who are used extremely well. They have to use a beat to save him.
All right, Exodial trying to shove forward now. KSA shrugs it off for the most part. Here comes the Orbital Ray. Psycho dealing with Zox here, bit of a problem. Molten Core comes down, a decent counter to Twisted Minds' objective of playing close together around that Orbital Ray. And finally, Astro gets plucked out of the sky. Still, Twisted Minds currently have control, and Quartz has opted to go for this overclock of his own. Dangerous now to try and challenge him, and Simple's been out of fire, and who are you?
Recharging.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Exodial, and you lose Who Are You. Mag is off here on the side, like using the defense matrix here. You got the turret right next to it, and I am shocked we're still on Torb, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're sticking to it. I mean, who are you? Good little soldier. Listen to the coach. It's Torb is the game plan here for Gen.G, so they are stuck to it now. That's that second flashpoint here for Twisted Minds, and unfortunately for Gen.G, they just get snowballed a little bit after that first peak. Look at Exodial, bro. He's still dominating, looking so good, but Quartz and KSA really leading the charge for their squad.
Exodial's been really good for Gen.G as like a pickup in general, right? Just has not resulted into more success and more wins for the team at the moment. But Gen.G gets here first, have an opportunity, maybe end up using their Kitsune Rush as Simple gets extremely low, gonna TP out. Zox is really low here too, Midge.
Let me get topped up at least. Exodial knocking on the door here. Twisted Minds eventually up to drop out of their ivory tower and actually throw down. Kitsune Rush comes in from both sides. Looks like KSA's happen to make great use of that. Throws up the Duke. Simple now knows he has the Duke. Some of these shots coming in. Exodial's not able to find a lethal blow though, and eventually Mag just runs out of the sustain to keep him in the fight. Remember, this is Juno Kiriko versus Kiriko Lucio. The long fights are something that Gen.G cannot afford. They need Exodial to find these picks, and who are you to prevent those from being inflicted on Gen.G?
Zox falls. I mean, that's going to be the disruptor shot thrown in and land right on top of him. Now, I mean, you're going to lose some more players here late. Does it look like maybe Gen.G kind of sitting back a little bit, trying to organize before pushing back in again, and they're not going to be able to do so. You're going to lose a few more players here. Mag is going to get demeched. This has like been one of those weird maps. Like, remember how I was saying earlier, like, I feel like this team has just had really weird games. Like, this is like one of them, I would say.
It's again, I'm asking the same questions of this team. They're trying a bunch of different things as best we can tell, but it's getting a little bit late in the day. You know, Gen.G's position on the ladder here in stage 2 is far from guaranteed. So let's see what they can make happen now. One last fight to stay alive here in Suravasa. It was Gen.G's map pick. They've got to do something here. Touching the point's a good start. That's even better. Exodial finds Psycho straight away. His head blown off. He's overclocked now, crucial, but Quartz is going to find one of his own, and he deals with the enemy Sojourn. Dangerous now for Gen.G. Oh, they're in trouble. Mag desuited. Basically used as a punching bag for this entire map. He just can't get enough done on this Diva. Mag ends up... yeah, it's just tough, man. He ends up with less damage than the enemy Kiriko. Like, it's just very, very difficult to put your Diva in a position to succeed here.
Yeah, like, he's getting peppered from the Sojourn, the Tracer. He also has no, like, dive partner, right? It's not like he's able to go in with a Tracer and make plays because they're playing Torb. You know, if you're going to play Torb and you're going to play slow, match the Ramatra. I don't know. But it just doesn't seem to work out in the end. A rough one there for Gen.G, I would say, after a more competitive map number 1.
Yes, they were at least able to fight back in that second round, but by and large, this is looking eerily like another 3-0 today, folks. I just want to give it to you straight. Gen.G don't really seem like they have a defined way of answering this, like this Ramatra-based setup. And remember, they banned the Freya. You know, like to, in theory, try and put Quartz, or rather, at least like put Exodial in a position to succeed. And like, he's great. He's so good at this hero. There's no reason why the guy can't deliver on Freya, in my humble opinion. But clearly, that's just something that they've come out of this week of scrims with. But you know, when you come out of a week of scrims, and then you want to limit your DPS hero pool because you don't want to play the meta stuff. Like, that just doesn't. If I see meta heroes getting banned, it's never a great sign here. So there has to be another way that Gen.G can target Twisted Minds while still setting their own individuals up for success. And I'm literally verbatim repeating myself, from the pre-game, but it's the same issue. And it's a damage dealing difference that we've got to point out, because who we use on the Torb, he's not able to be that oppressive, right? It's only when the Tracer comes to call that it looks threatening, and Molten Core is great against that Orbital Ray combo. That's fine. Outside of that, though, it is hard to watch Who Are You on Torb. It's just hard to watch.
Well, because there's so many other characters that he could make a huge impact on, but like you could have played Gen.G there, you could have played him on Tracer. There were like multiple better options, I think, than playing the Tor. But we'll see now going into Runasapi if there's any other kind of compositional changes on the docket here for Gen.G. You could play D.Va yet again, but I mean, I don't know. It hasn't looked awesome.
Yeah, not great. Runasapi is going to be the option. You can, I mean, Ramatra I think is still going to be looked at. I do think that that's something that KSA really wants to play right now. In fairness, that is a ban. You can ban that. You have not sort of looked at that yet, but you're likely putting yourself into a D.Va mirror. A Risa mirror.
I was going to say, like, so the way you've also set this up is so poor from Gen.G, because now there's a perfect opportunity for them to get rid of the Genji, right? They haven't banned Genji yet for Twisted Minds. So then Who Are You gets...
Bold of you to think that Krusty will let him play Genji, bro.
Huh?
Don't worry, bold of you to think that Krusty will let him play Genji.
Okay, so the bans are in. Gen.G gets rid of the Kiri here at the start. So that makes sense. Simple being a crazy nuisance on that. And then the other ban is D.Va. Which I think is interesting because, like, you were winning the D.Va head-to-head, I think, at times when we did see it. But also, like, now what? You're forcing Mag to play, like, Ramatra or Risa, something along those lines, which I think you have a decided, heavy advantage in.
Okay. I think that, like, the D.Va ban from Twisted Minds is fair, but I've never particularly felt like she's been much of a powerhouse on this map. It's a second ban, so I protect... Right. It's just, I mean, here's the secret for Mag. If Mag doesn't know what his hero pool is, no one else knows what his hero pool is, and so no one can target him. No one can no one can actually exploit him.
This map is pretty good for like rush style comps as well. We've seen like Winston and D.Va on it in the past, right? But this is a map that like Maga excels on, Ramatra. You could even see Hazard potentially. Maybe that's the angle that they try to go for Gen.G with that D.Va gone. But yeah, it's just, you'd love to see these players be put in a position to play kind of the heroes that they're really good at in the current meta, because like there is a path, I think, there. I think they're just, you might be overthinking it a little bit too much.
Something that Junkbox said about OWCS and coaching is that you have to construct a strategy that accounts for like your players as individuals, and also think it kind of gives you an edge and makes it hard to like dominate you by banning you correctly. So, I mean,
everybody should be like, your strategy should be crafted around like your players' strengths, right? Like it shouldn't just be like, oh, well, everybody's playing this, so we have to as well, right? If you don't have the tools to be able to do so. I mean, some metas you kind of have to, right? But at least find ways to, mitigate the weaknesses, right? In certain situations. Just kind of tell them to go out there and, do whatever.
I think it's probably not a bad time to examine the stakes of this game again, because Gen.G are 2-2 right now, which is very reasonable. But if you think back to the teams that Gen.G have been able to beat, it's been Peps, right, in that very scrappy, very close game, and then Frosttails. Those are the two teams at the bottom of the standings right now in EMEA. So as you can imagine, following this game for Gen.G, it will be Twisted Minds, then One Dip versus 100 Gorillas. Hopefully they've got a different name by then. And then they've got to go up against OWCS in the last week of play. So they've exhausted all of their opportunities to play against those teams that are weaker, and granted, they have been able to find wins in those games, but that's probably it. 2-5 though, that's what the Ultimates were able to get into playoffs with, and they make their run in the lower bracket. but it's not looking
Well,
good for Gen.G.
But like, you know, the ultimates could obviously get better during this stage. You know, one dip is sitting right there, I believe the same record, but like a better map count. So you think that they potentially get up, you know, 3 wins? If you finish with 2 wins, I mean, somebody is going to end up in the relegation with Frosttails, right? Like they're going to, and you know, 2 wins might get you down there.
Honestly, you're right. And then to say nothing of the fact that having that lower seeding when we head into like stage playoffs is not favorable whatsoever. Again, remember, you're going up against like the Master Division Season 5 players in that promotion and relegation tournament. So, you know, there's obviously we had 2 new teams promoted this time. It's pretty brutal down there, as we saw Vision Esports banished into that direction. So keep that in your back pocket. Stay aware. We're heading over to Runasapi now. Twisted Minds might just go back towards this Ramaja. Look, I do feel like, though, Orisa, has been good in the matchup, good at displacing the Ramaja, and the KSA is expecting Orisa here. I'm curious to see how he wants to play around that matchup.
So, who are you potentially going to go with that Sombra yet again? So we've seen the Sombra early on. An Ana pick here from Twisted Minds. So going to be playing the Ana with the Juno here. Ability to kind of like farm up that Nano potentially. Also, no Kiri, right? So the no Cleanse available on the other side of Gen.G. So an interesting niche pick potentially.
Okay, I'm here to see it. Of course, that Javelin here can be very disruptive and allow Exodial just to find easy picks with those explosive bolts. And Simple is a good positioning, honestly. Notice that Simple is not really wasting a lot of movements. He's not jumping around constantly as Ana. He's just majorly rotated so that he was still alongside Funny Astro. And I think it's pretty hard to push into the outer ring of the map now. Eventually, you know, we are going to see Gen.G be contested here on this bot, but it's Canale out of the game already. Not what they're looking for. That is their brig. Very important to try and control KSA from just walking up on Mag here. Zox also will be dragged down.
He gets hit with a bio Canale, and not enough time for the bio to like wear off. It wears off, but he's so weak at that point that they just move forward and finish him off. As look how aggressive Twisted Minds wants to be here. You get Quartz in this position, you got KSA here as well, trying to see maybe if they can get somebody coming out of the spawn, but as bad of a start I think you can have possibly for Gen.G.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. And again, it's a war of attrition. They end up losing as the better positioning gets taken up by Twisted Minds. Let's start talking about Simple, man. Such a sick addition. Obviously comes in from that Vision Esports team. And prior to that, obviously was, you know, a factor on Poker Face, a bit of an upstart team there in Korean OWCS. But he looks incredible. And on the Ana, man, he's making it look good. Once again, Twisted Minds has ended up with like a pretty high throughput healing composition. The Ana having the ability to impact the game via other means in terms of anti-heals. And Gen.G are not in this game. They're not. Mag is barely alive.
There shouldn't be like, I mean, look, obviously Twisted Mind's a tremendous team. There shouldn't be like this large of a potential gap between these teams, though.
Have you done this? Why have you done this, Exodial? He was waiting on a flank angle there, and he got spotted out. We have health bars, right? So we can see that. But
and then now, are you going to lose your brig here too? I mean,
yes, you are. Okay, well, this might be a full clear. Quartz does go down. Who are you? One of the only players that's been able to slow Twisted Minds down at all. And an EMP that hits the whole backline. I like that. Doesn't have the virus spreading perk here, but I mean, who you just won the fight for his team? Solo. So I respect it.
Yeah, but the bot is still moving towards their spawn.
Look, I mean, just don't let the truth get them. Have a good story.
So
you know,
they'll get another fight here mid-map, but right away, Twisted Minds. You're up to 91 meters, and you also have both support ults here in this next fight, and they already use that EMP, which is what you're worried about. So I think you could easily get this one going back deep into Gen.G territory.
91 meters though, not quite triple digits, but enough to make you concerned. Orbital Ray comes on down. Fun to watch it erupt from the skybox there. Oh, Exodial does get the healing that he needs. Good sleep on Who Are You though. Simple is looking very good on this Ana. Oh, rally popped here. Okay, I respect it from Canale, but still gonna die. A respectful death.
There's nobody around. And the bot's still gone. Oh man, this is.
I mean,
who was gonna benefit from that rally? Besides Canal.
Well, they stayed alive a little bit longer. Maybe there's a concern
that's a
about
good
getting
point.
snowballed further. But if you lost
Like,
2
but
players,
the snowball was already happening though. Like,
I mean, it's a mega tilt. It's a mega tilt rally, honestly.
yeah.
Okay, we are nano boosting our Ramatra. KSA's moving up here. Mag in a dangerous spot. KSA, they're not in Nemesis form anymore, so it's kind of why you don't always nano the Ramatra outside of Annihilation. But hey, we're sort of mixing it up a little bit here today. Limit testing. Canale is dead again. Rally would have been nice there, honestly. Psycho moved up on him. Who are you trying to pepper down Twisted Minds to 134 meters and counting, and they're struggling to find these kills. Backline dealt with again. This time it's Who Are You on the Tracer.
Yeah, but the
Good to
car's
see some.
just gonna walk in.
Oh my god, dude. Get me out. Get me out. Get me out. Get me out.
Oh, that was. Hold on, yo, give me a replay of that. That was the saddest Runasapi I've ever seen. I mean, man. Bro, they got like Mag and Who Are You and Exodial, and that's the type of game we get. Come on, man. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. I mean,
does this answer questions we had?
no, that just leads us. I told you this team produces just really weird results where, Who Are You pushing into the backline, killing 2, but then the enemy Ramatra's emoting on the bot as it goes in. It's like,
Why am I mad?
This feels like
Why am I
no one
angry?
in team because the players
Man.
are good. This
would you
makes
say the
no
talent
sense.
is there? So
Shut the door. Shut the front door. I'm
Don't make me
leaving.
more
I'm
angry than
leaving,
I
I'm
already
leaving,
am,
I'm leaving.
Matt.
I'm leaving. I'm done here. I'm out of here. Oh.
This is just it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing because Gen.G as an org that's like a high caliber org
Yes.
as is. The players are good players. They are not even on the same page. They do not read the same book. I don't think they're in the same library.
It's
this is so disconnected and so strange.
it's so frustrating to watch. I mean, you have Who Are You stuck on Torb here for all of Suravasa.
What? Why?
And then like Canale like solo rallies at that one point, and I mean they don't have anybody by the car. I just honestly, really bizarre. But like you mentioned, Zoe, like Gen.G is an incredible org across multiple different games. These players obviously have had success in the past. This just does not seem to mesh though as a crew.
No, and like I think you guys talked about it during the cast, right? Coming up next, they have the artist formerly known as Quick Esports. One did.
I still can't believe that. I mean,
This game's giving me a midlife crisis. I'm 33 years old.
and then the
I just
last
sat here
match
and
is
talked
against
about that.
Al-
don't blame it on the
like-
game.
Are they gonna finish with just 2 dubs? Like that's so tragic.
Did you see anything here that would lead you to believe they're going to get more?
No.
They should.
I'm so actually what I saw right now. It makes me surprised that they got 2.
I would like to relegate them instantly.
That's me being
No,
really
I
mean.
mean-
I would like to relegate them.
If you're
Are they
Gen.G,
up for relegation?
you're
No,
Gen.G.
they can't even get relegated.
That's such a shame. Well, good job, Alan. You've done well.
If you're Gen.G, you need to figure out a way to
man.
kind of get into the playoff, and then sort your way from there, right? We saw it with the Ultimates,
I mean,
right?
changes need to happen. Like
went
this
far.
ain't it.
Right. At this point, you're not going to finish with like a top 3 seed or top 2 seed, whatever it is. Just get in. Any
Yeah.
means possible. Sort it out after that. Just you need to figure out a way to get in.
Look, I mean, you don't have
I feel for the players.
You're a part of the team, so you don't have to threat relegation here. I think it actually gives you like a real buffer here to sit down and just have a really frank discussion amongst the team about how you want to look towards playoffs now. You obviously like are not feeling particular. The problem is that like Gen.G are collapsing under some of these bans as well. Like they're not impactful bans that they're aiming at Twisted Minds necessarily. So that's somewhere you can start. Like you don't even have to look at yourself right now if you don't want to. You can start thinking about your opponents being going, okay, so like how do we really make incisive bans that, you know, like, not because not every team is the ultimate. It's not obvious how to ban out every team, but you can start there. And I think, you know, from that point onward, you can start having a look at, like, okay, how do we want to play? Like, what do we want out of this run these next few weeks?
Yeah, but even if you have targeted bans and more of like a strat tailored to your opponents, Twisted Mind is not going to be the opponent that is too bothered. I feel like they're pretty well rounded as far as the individuals go on that roster. So yeah, it wasn't theirs to win to begin with, but we did hope for a little more pushback from Gen.G. Alas, enough beating down on them. Let's talk about the winners. Let's talk with the winners, in fact, because we do have Funny Astro joining us for a quick chat. So let's bring him in. Funny Astro, always great to see you and of course hear from you. This was a one-sided affair. Did you also hope or expect a little bit more pushback from Gen.G there, make it look a little more competitive, or is this the expected outcome?
I think they were a little better than we expected, maybe. I think we were expecting a complete shutout, so they got 1 point on Suravasa, which is, I think UB's not too happy that they got 1 point there. So we're gonna have some things to work on for next week to get perfect scoreline.
Tell us a little bit about, you guys are leaning into the Ramatra play a little bit more right now. Where do you think Ramatra sits amongst the meta? We've seen teams try and play Orisa into it. Feel like that's had some success. You guys obviously aren't trying to do too much Diva stuff with, you know, KSA in. What's the broad game plan in terms of your tank and comp selection right now?
Honestly, we just like putting KSA on Ram because he's insane at that hero. Just put him on the point, give him a speed ring, and he just goes and kills people. So I don't think we need to think too hard about it. We don't need to care about like Orisa or Diva or whatever. It's just like, just play Ram and sit on the point and pocket him.
Is it a simple game plan, a simpler one when you have that Ramatra in play?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. He sits on the point, simple, and Psycho go flank and kill everything, and we win.
Yep.
I mean, you know, you guys have incorporated Psycho in last week and in this week. His Tracer play has been fantastic. Is that, I know you guys earlier on were playing a little bit more of UB and like Sim. Is you feel like Tracer is kind of where things are heading at the moment? Because we were talking where you guys have played some Sim in the past, and then now Katsi obviously uses it to great effect. So it seems pretty strong.
I think with Psycho, we're just like a little more immune to hero bans. Obviously, when we have UB, and we have to care a lot about people banning Sim and protecting DPS and all this stuff. But Psycho, he's not just playing Tracer at the moment, he's playing like loads of different heroes. Most of the time he's on Tracer, but he can look a lot of different stuff, and even played the Sim a bit today. So we're just making it work with him.
Are you looking at playing him on Torb on Flashpoint?
I'm not sure what that was.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not a fan of the Torb on Flashpoint. I think he ended the map 5 and 10, so maybe it's not the best hero there. Maybe we'll try it next week.
If Hazard was in, we got it, but not into Ramatra.
Even against Hazard, I'm not sure. It's the classic Krusty. You never know what he's doing.
Actually, classic Krusty. Yeah, I don't think he knows what he's doing sometimes also, so that's in line. For the Astro, we're gonna let you go now. Thank you so much for joining us for a quick chat. Also, Simple got player of the match, so I don't know, you wanna let him know that he did awesome.
Just rubbing it in here.
He's a legend.
Funny Astro.
I've been told to bring it up during the interview. I just do as I'm told. You know, obviously, Funny Astro, you're our personal MVP at all times. That goes without saying. But today's bottom is for Simple. So congrats on that. Congrats on the dub. And we can't wait to see more of you and the boys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.